One of the things I wish I'd known about when I started out in business was how powerful the written word was going to be. And I'm not talking about the copy that you write for your website. I'm talking about blogging and writing books. Now, it may well be that you are currently blogging. It might be that your blogging isn't really giving you the impact that you want. Or it might be that you've written lots of blogs and you're thinking, how do I turn that into a book? Well, my name's Jacqui Malpass, and one of the things that I love and I specialise in is helping people to turn their content into books, into published books, so that they can become an author. And there's a number of ways that you can go about it. And for me, it's all about what is the impact that you want to make in the world. So it's all very well having a blog and it's all very well having a book. But if actually you haven't written them from your heart and they're not about your inspirational message, then my question to you is, what is the point? So it takes a little bit of planning, and it's like anything that you do in business, you need a plan. So I'm going to build you a scenario. I'm going to suggest that you already know that you want to write a book. But what you'd like to do is test your content on your readers via a blog. So the first thing we have to do is we have to know what the book is about. So I'm going to invite you to grab yourself a pen and paper. And I want you to get an A4 sheet of paper. I want you to fold it in half. And on the very front, without thinking, I want you to write the title of your book. Whatever comes up, doesn't really matter. And then on the inside, I want you to write a little bit about what the book is about. And then on the other side of the inside, I want you to think about that word that we talked about earlier, the impact that you want to make. Why would somebody want to read this book? What is the impact? And then what I want you to do tonight is I want you to stick that under your pillow. I want you to sleep on it. And then in the morning, I want you to write on the back what we know as the book blurb. So this is the description of the book. And that's all I want you to do with it for now. This is part of the plan. So when we know that we have a book, and okay, you've got a sheet of A4 paper folded up at the moment, but actually you have a book idea. The next thing we have to do is plan it out. And one of the easiest ways of doing that is to grab yourself a sheet of brown paper. I have rolls of brown paper all over my house. And stick it up on a wall somewhere. And I want you to draw the journey of the book. And it's kind of, what you want to do is to draw a road. Yeah? So you've got the beginning, draw a line for the middle, and then you've got the end. And then divide it up into, let's say, 10 sections. And I just want you to imagine that you were taking yourself and your reader on a journey for your book. And the key thing about this is don't rush it. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither will writing your book be done in a day. But we need to think about the plan. So we need to know what the book is about. We need to know who you're writing it for, so you've done a bit of that, and what the impact is that you want to make in the world with your book. So we now have our 10 chapters mapped out. So you're just going to stick post-it notes on, keywords up, and you're going to think about chapter titles. And for each of your chapters, I want you to think about what are the 3 questions that I'm answering. And again, in each of the chapters is, what's this chapter about? Why is it important for the reader to read it? How are they going to implement the things that you're talking about? And then what are the benefits of this particular chapter? What are they going to get out of it? So we have all of that on our brown sheet of paper. And one of the best things to do next is to grab your mobile phone, turn on the video and talk it. Walk it, talk it. And from there, you've got a recording about what your book is about. When you know what the book is about and when you know what each of the chapters is about, because you've recorded it to your mobile phone, you can then sit mind map it, write a list, whatever works for you. Listen to your recording and start making notes about what each of those chapters is about. Now, out of that, you can then decide what it is that you're going to blog about. So let's say in chapter 2, let's say you're writing a book and it's called Flourish. I'm just making the name up. And chapter 2 is about self-love. So it's called Love and it's about self-love. So you could think of a whole load of blogs that you could write about self-love. Now, the purpose of writing the blogs, and one of the things you need to remember is that you're going to write a blog in a different way that you're going to write a chapter for the book. But what you're doing is you're testing your content on your audience. So you've got your outline for your book, you know what it's called, you know the impact, you know who the reader is, and now you're creating your blogging plan. So we now have a whole load of blogging ideas that we can start to write about. Obviously you're going to need to look at what the title of the blog is, how you're going to optimize it for the search engines. And you know what? The easiest thing to do is just to start writing, is just to start blogging. Now, you may not have a blog, and if you don't, my advice to you there would be to go and find yourself someone who's a WordPress expert and get them to install that. So you'll need a domain name, you'll need some web hosting, you'll need WordPress installed, and you need something called a theme. And a theme is kind of how we clothe our website. So it gives us the look and feel. And there's lots and lots of YouTube videos on how to use WordPress. Once you're inside WordPress, you're going to be using things called posts. And that's where you're going to create this content. Now, before you rush ahead, there's also something called categories. And you're going to want to categorize your blogs so that they're easily put into chapters. So when you're writing for chapter 2, you have a category called chapter 2. So you can see that it's not just a simple case of going, you know what, I'm going to write a book and what I'm going to do is I'm going to blog it. You need to plan, and you need to get all of that plan out, and you need to be talking to people who kind of know how to help you do some of these things. So once you've got your plan, you know what you're writing about, you've got the WordPress set up, you have all of that structure, it's a case of writing. Now, a lot of things happen to us when we start to write. We start to get that, and I'm going to make some funny noises now, because we start to get that I can't write thing, and you kind of freak out, and then you stop. Well, do you know what? Lots of people have been in the same position. After all the years that I've been writing, I get into that same position sometimes. I sometimes put my fingers to the keyboard or pen to paper, and I have no idea what to write. And one of the best things I find is go for a walk. And I have to find ways of changing my mindset, because it really is about having the right mindset to get the words out and just trusting that whatever comes out, first drafts are rubbish. They are. For whatever you're writing, you're never going to get that perfect first draft just like that. You're going to need to do some editing. So the same thing applies to your blog and to your book. So when you're writing your piece and you get stuck, go for a walk, put some music on, have a dance, have some fun, but whatever you do, write. Now, there's a couple of things about getting that writing done, and it's about having the right writing environment. So you need to test different places to write in. So the place I'm sitting in here, sometimes I like to sit here. When I look out there, I can see the hills. It's beautiful and it's so peaceful and quiet. What's not to love? But other times I like to write on the sofa downstairs. It's kind of in what I call my coochie room. And I have a sofa that is specifically for writing. I like to put my feet up, put my computer on my lap and write. And I also like to write first thing in the morning. Well, that's if my dogs will let me. So I have 3 dogs, and for example this morning I started to do some writing. One of them licked me, walked all over my keyboard, grabbed a candle, chewed it up. I couldn't write a thing. I went for a walk, and actually, do you know, it was the best thing, because when I came back, I was truly inspired to write. So find the right environment, lock your dogs away, and just find a time of day that really, really works for you. So morning, first thing in the morning before I do anything else, works for me. So just write. The whole thing about blogging or writing a book is you need to get to the end of something. And what works for most people is chunking things down. So you've thought about the book, you've thought about the entirety of your book, you've chunked it down into chapters, and then you've chunked it down into blogs. You can chunk your blog down into little bits. But the key thing is you find the right place, you sit down and you do it. An hour, just write for an hour and get the blog done. And get past that I can't write thing, because believe you me, I have read some beautiful, beautiful things from people who say they can't write, and they can. So you get it written, and then you need to take some time out, and then it comes back to editing. So whether you're editing a blog or a book, you do the first draft, and then you come back and edit. And you look for things like repeated words, you look for better ways to say things. You put more of you into it. You look at how you make that story flow. So let's presuppose you've done the first draft, and you've done masses and masses of blogs, you've got the first draft of your book ready. And what will happen is with your blogs, because you've written them in a different way to the way that you're going to write for a book, is you just pick each of them up and you take a chapter at a time, and you work out how you edit to make that flow. So you're really kind of going back to the basic structure again, and you're repurposing. You've got something to work from now, so it makes it a whole lot easier. So the same thing applies. You get to the end of that first draft, you leave it, and then when you've left it, then you come back and you edit. When you get to what's called your final edit, then you must give it to a proofreader. So other things that you're going to need for a book is you need a book cover. So we've talked about the proofreader. They're your final eyes. You need a book cover. Find yourself some beta readers. They're the people that are going to read it and give you some feedback, and you may want to tweak it again before you finish that. Get someone to write your foreword, and then it's back to the planning thing. Once you've uploaded it onto perhaps Amazon's Create Space, then it's how do you market it? Now, while you're writing the book and while you're doing the blogging, you're actually marketing your book. And now is the time that you've got to think about, well, how do I actually get people to read my book? Am I going to have a book launch? Am I going to do a virtual blog tour? So I'm blogging about my book again, so I'm repurposing it. What do I need to do to get myself in front of my readers? What other websites, what other business owners can I talk to? Am I going to run workshops? What am I going to do with the content with my book? What am I going to do with it? I've written it. That comes right back to that impact question that we asked at the very beginning. So it might be that you use it for a coaching practice, you might use it for workshops or retreats, or you might want to turn it into an online course. And what's lovely about turning your book into an online course is you've now got something working for you 24 hours a day. But again, that needs another plan. You need to kind of deconstruct your book and work out how you're going to turn that into a course, and then obviously you need to be videoing and doing all kinds of things to bring your book together. And we're now joined by my dog. This is Angel, and she's the person that disrupts me pretty much all the time. So at this point, I'm going to start to wrap this video up, and I just want to leave you with a couple of things. First of all, know that you can. Know that whatever you write is going to be absolutely fabulous. Think about the impact that you want to make with your book. Start with a blog, then turn it into a book, and then think about those other things: workshops, retreats, coaching, and an online course. And when you have all of those things, guess what? You will have done masses and masses to build your personal brand. You will have done masses to demonstrate to people who you are in the world. You will have shown them all about your knowledge, your skills and your experience. And in my book, Books Again, you will have done an amazing job to bring whatever it is, your inspirational message to the world. So I hope you feel inspired, and if you want to talk to me, again, my name is Jacqui Malpass. You can find me at www.jacquimalpass.com. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn and Twitter, and I look forward to reading your blogs and your books. Have a great day.